Now let's talk about the stock markets. After a bloody Monday, it was a patchy day of trading for major markets. Japan witnessed a big rebound, jumping by 10% after yesterday's crash. Markets in South Korea and Taiwan saw some recovery too. And what about the Indian markets? Well, they closed the day's trade in the red, but the losses were not too significant. Both the Sensex and the Nifty dropped by less than 1%. What about the United States? Remember, yesterday's crash was largely triggered by weak American economic data. And how are the American indices faring now? US stocks saw some tepid recovery in early trade. The investors are still nervous. As one expert described the situation, there are falling knives everywhere. Many stocks are trading at a discount, but traders are not sure if they should start buying again or wait for a bit. In the last 3 weeks alone, global markets have lost some $6.4 trillion, and yet traders do not know if this is the end. They don't know if the market has bottomed out or not. The US Fed is trying to reassure them. The Fed is the Federal Reserve, it's the Central Bank of America. One of the Fed officials said that they will fix any deterioration in the US economy. Another official says the US Fed will do whatever it takes.
The unemployment rate is still low by historical standards. The job growth is about at the rate that new entrants are entering the labor force. So I see an economy that has momentum, and we want to make sure we keep that, because the perfect economy is the one where you have price stability and you have sustainable growth.
The American Central Bank has a key role to play here. It controls the interest rates, the rate at which banks give you loans. The Fed controls it, and since March 2022, the Fed has steadily raised these interest rates. Today, they stand at between 5.25 and 5.5%, which is a 23-year high. Now, this hike was necessary. You see, America was facing its biggest inflation spike in 40 years, 4 decades. It had crossed 9%. So the Fed hiked interest rates to contain inflation. Here's how it works. When you hike interest rates, you make loans more expensive. So people don't take too many loans because they're expensive. And they limit big purchases. So people spend less, and this squeezes out the excess cash from the economy. As the demand falls, it also brings down prices, which in turn helps control the inflation. So the Fed has kept interest rates high to control inflation, but now they're promising a rate cut in September.
We are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% goal in support of a strong economy that benefits everyone. If we were to see, for example, inflation moving down quickly or more or less in line with expectations, growth remains, let's say, reasonably strong, and the labor market remains, consistent with its current condition, then I would think that a rate cut could be on the table at the September meeting.
So that is the Fed's plan, but some banks on the Wall Street are not happy with it, like Bank of America and UBS. They want the Federal Reserve to make an intervention now. They want a rate cut sooner. For the moment, the Fed does not look inclined to do that. They say no rate cut before September, but if the current sentiment around the US economy persists, the Federal Reserve may have no choice but to intervene. As it is, Americans are already feeling gloomy about the economy. Here's what a survey has found. 3 out of 5 Americans believe that there is a recession in the country and recovery might take another year or so. They're not feeling optimistic about the future. Moody's says most consumers in America feel that the job situation could deteriorate. So they're thinking twice before making purchases. They want to hold on to their savings. So Americans are feeling a recession, even though the numbers tell a different story. And despite all this data, the overall sentiment about the American economy is turning negative. Stock markets, as you know, run on sentiments. That should explain the swings.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
loss to the West Indies. What can you expect